So before we move on to the survey, let me give you a little bit of context. I've been thinking about confidence and lack of confidence and how it interferes with accomplishment and performance and how it causes writer's blocks and other kinds of blocks to creativity for years. And that's why I went into educational psychology, to help myself and then people like me get past the blocks that stop them from doing what they're called to do. So in my educational psychology degree, I studied theories of learning and adult learning and counseling theory and career counseling. And among the more specific things that I learned about was anxiety and managing anxiety and low self-esteem, as well as career counseling, what do people want, looking at personality, interest, values, how do people design a life and a career that is worth living, that a career that's aligned with their values and interests, and a life full of rich experiences. So that's the foundation. So from that foundation, I started looking specifically for other sources, people in the real world, and not just in academia or in research studies, to find out what they thought. So in the summer of 2015, I started a LinkedIn discussion in the Group Connect Professional Women's Network. That's a really great group with lots of interesting discussions and resources. So if you happen to be a professional woman, I encourage you to join it. And in that group, I started a discussion about career confidence. And I titled it Lack Career Confidence, and with the subtitles or additional questions. Do you or someone you know lack confidence in your choice of career or your ability to successfully perform the required duties? For instance, if you're asked to take on a leadership role or lead a team or give a presentation, how do you react? What advice would you give to someone facing an unfamiliar challenge? Now, this turned out to be a fairly popular discussion. At the time of the screenshot there, I had 90 comments and 88 likes. Full of interesting perspectives. As I mentioned, it's a really good resource. If you can check it out for yourself and join if you like. And if you can't find it, let me know and I can send you the link for it. At the same time that I was conducting this informal discussion on LinkedIn, I was, of course, reading other threads around confidence and what people thought of success and what might interfere with that. And I was also reading popular literature, such as Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In and Katie Kay's and Claire Shipman's The Confidence Code. Both of these are bestsellers, so you're probably familiar with them. And I was also reading something that might not be quite as popular, Thomas Chmerlo-Przemysł's Confidence, Overcoming Low Self-Esteem, Insecurity, and Self-Doubt, which is based on his psychological research and his personal and professional experience around confidence. Now that brings us to the survey, where I asked the primary question: when it comes to career confidence, what is your number one single biggest issue or challenge? Now, I know that not everyone had a chance to complete the survey, and if you want to participate, you can put your challenge into the chat box. Now, I didn't explain what I meant by career confidence. I wanted to understand how other people understood that concept of career confidence. When I said career confidence, did people pick up on it? Did they know what I meant? In addition to that primary question, and the primary question again is, what's your number one challenge when it comes to career confidence? I also asked, what has this challenge cost you? And I encouraged them to consider the emotional and social effects as well as financial costs. And I also asked, how difficult has it been to solve this challenge? And that is, what had they tried? What would be the ideal solution? And I sent out an email inviting people to complete the survey to people in my contacts with about individualized invitation to around 100 people. And I got about 15 people responding. So that is appropriate enough in the sense that it's qualitative research, getting the stories of individuals. And it was interesting that this information in the survey really reflected what I had learned in the LinkedIn discussions with those over 80 comments. This is a qualitative research, not quantitative, so we're not really interested in large psychometric studies, which cost millions to do, by the way, with a statistical analysis and generalizability and results that you can apply in general. So we're really inviting people for their stories, and then again inviting people to see if the results fit their experience and if they can find it useful. So, unfortunately, no one clear challenge emerged. Perhaps if I had defined career confidence more rigorously and elicited hundreds or thousands of responses, one challenge might have emerged. But as I said, I was more interested in the lived experiences that affect people and getting to understand the full range of challenges. And I found, as I looked at these challenges and I started thinking and reviewing them, I believe that they fall into 4 categories. So challenges around career choice, challenges around navigating career opportunities, so things like finding a position and then positioning yourself to get a promotion. So it's positioning and promotions. Social negotiation is managing social relationships and office politics. So things like power and politics come into play here. And then the last category is what we often think about when we think about confidence or lacking confidence, and that is managing self-doubt and anxiety. Now, to explain these categories just a little bit more completely, the first category, the responses that I believe were related to this first category were comments like, I'm uncertain about my career path. I've never fully invested in a career. I've had too many options, and that's cost me anxiety and around my lack of direction, and it's cost me time, and time has gotten away from me. Another person said that she was not satisfied with her current professional status, and that included her social status, because she's not, this particular individual had left a high position, and she was disappointed or not satisfied because she was not seen as such a high-performing professional as before. And then it also had financial impact because she was, of course, not earning as much. So those are comments related to the first category of career choice. So the second category around navigating career opportunities falls into these 2 subcategories. So being uncertain about the abilities or competence, and lack of confidence around obtaining a position and gaining a promotion. I just got to take a little sip of water. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so if we look at category 2-1, uncertainty about the abilities or lacking concerns about the competence, the comments that I've encountered that I felt fell into this category is feeling like I'm falling behind, or not pushing myself hard enough, or using all my resources to reach my goals, not getting the perk of a slightly higher pay. Another person said, watching my coworkers move up to become my supervisors and then moving on to other roles while I stay where I am. A third person said, feeling like I do not have enough experience or the needed qualifications. And then another respondent said felt that she felt insecure or insecurity about job security. So these are exact quotations from the responses that I received. So, and I'm trying to put them into coherent sentences, so the grammar doesn't always seem to work out quite right. But you understand. At least I hope you do. The second category in navigating career opportunities is gaining a position in the first place, and then once in a position, gaining a promotion. So it's these concerns, or the comments that related to these kinds of concerns were comments like not being able to get a job that reflects my experience in the mid to upper level management, not reaching my goals. I don't know how to get the attention of important people. I don't know how to get a raise without a hassle. In direct sales, conveying credibility and expertise, so positioning themselves as someone, as an expert, somebody that can be trusted. Now, the third category is social negotiation. And this is managing social relationships and office politics, not just the normal social skills that we learn as children, or hopefully we learn as children, creating connection with others, playing nice, playing fair, managing our relationships with friends and family members that everybody has to do, which, by the way, can be challenging, or maybe even more challenging than office relationships. But this social negotiation, as I'm thinking of it here, and in the context of this career confidence survey, it's finding your place at work. So asserting yourself and your abilities, and then managing the tricky social situations in office politics, which can be just like trying to find your footing and pathway in an ever-changing environment, like charting your course on the shifting sands of these sand dunes. And then, and the worst case scenario is managing outright hostility or animosity, or what is that quotation? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean somebody's out to get you. Sometimes there are situations where some of my clients have had to deal with outright sabotage from their employees, which is very, very rare. Just as some of my other clients have had to deal with sabotage and even abuse from their managers. So some of the quotations from the survey participants include, one person said, in sales, the fear of rejection and awkward times when people feel you are pushy, or you think they feel you are pushy. So that's managing that social negotiation. Another person said that she had a boss who was threatened by her capabilities. So that was a difficult negotiation. And then another was dealing with a board out of control that fired my boss, and then left this person to deal with that situation. And then that person didn't expand on that, but I imagine that would be quite a challenging situation. So now if we continue to look at the categories, the four categories, the last category is the category that I think that we most often think of when we think of challenges around confidence and self-confidence, managing that self-doubt. So managing the self-criticism, the self-deprecation, the disparaging comments, discounting or overlooking our abilities, or ignoring our comments. So the respondents the responses, I should say, that I felt fell into this category were comments like, I'm questioning myself, I'm second guessing my abilities, I have problems with anxiety, I feel inadequate, I have self-doubt and even confusion. And I'm not sure what the confusion exactly was because she didn't expand on it. But so those are the 4 categories. Let me just see if I can show them to you again. There we are. The career choice, managing career opportunities, social negotiation, and managing self-doubt. So in which category or categories do you have challenges with career confidence? Now, you don't necessarily have to share those if you don't want to. I want to be respectful, but if you do want to share them, if you can say, "Oh yeah, I've been there," put it into the chat box, and we'll have a few minutes to talk about that. In a few minutes, we'll have a few minutes to talk about that. Oh, that was really not very clear, was it? But yes, well, we get better as we do things. All right, so recommendations. So after reviewing the 4 categories, I came up with recommendations for each category, but this really became too complex far too quickly, and I realized I could not put all that into one webinar. I have to break it out and have many different webinars around recommendations for each category. So I thought there might be an easier way to explain an approach that I think would really help. And again, you must realize that I do come from this educational psychology, career counseling background. So hopefully, I think that really shows in the process I've come up, but I hope it is useful. So the career confidence process begins with nurturing yourself. And that is not only just addressing your self-doubt and noticing that critical self-talk and those limiting beliefs. It's also developing compassion and caring for yourself. Appreciating yourself and your unique abilities, acknowledging and celebrating your accomplishments, no matter how small they are. And that is one reason why I drew attention to the win of showing up for the call, drew attention to the fact that you would take an action to improve yourself, because that's all part of affirming what you're doing, taking positive action. Now, step 2 is knowing what you want. Knowing yourself is important because that's how you know what you want. So number 2 is all about getting to know yourself. And so it would be about understanding your personality, your values, what you find important, understanding also your strengths, your emotional skills strengths, your aptitudes, your abilities, your learned innate skills, innate abilities, and your learned skills and abilities. And taking time to check in, and which goes back to nurturing, taking time to check in and see how you have changed and evolved since you first started thinking about yourself as an individual. So you might want to look for some independent measures of yourself, things like personality, inventories, or values, assessments, those kinds of things. You might also want to seek feedback from others because we are social creatures, and we grow within the social environment. So we really actually often get to know ourselves through understanding how others think of us. And we'll actually talk more about that in a few minutes here. The third step in this process, I think, is to create a powerful, inspiring vision of your best self and your best life, and then create a plan to get from where you are now, and to where you want to go. And this, by the way, it's an ongoing, lifelong process. So you will revisit these questions and hopefully get better and better at nurturing yourself, and better at knowing yourself. And by the way, you will, I hope, continue to be surprised as you develop. You will think you know yourself, and then you'll discover that you know something else. You get deeper and deeper understanding of yourself. So the fourth one is to develop and then demonstrate competence to yourself and to others. So this is, as I said, not just the skills of knowing yourself and nurturing yourself, which, by the way, is an aspect of emotional intelligence. But it's also um, as a career-based skills. It's developing technical competence, that skills that are unique to your profession, your social skills, that are related to leadership and to teamwork. So we've got technical skills and emotional intelligence skills, and they're both important to your success as an individual and to your professional success. And as I said before, it's a repeating process or a spiral process. You go through the same steps over and over, but at higher and higher levels of comprehension, I should say, capability, skill development, achievement. And as you grow, you increase your connection with others and increase your influence, yeah, your social influence, which brings us then to our final step in this process, which is nurturing your relationship with others. We're social beings, we learn from others, we emulate the behavior of others, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes not. So, and so you go through this process over and over again. And I know I've listed it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but these are actually processes that continue at the same time, so that they overlap and you are cycling through these all the time, and hopefully um, growing and growing. So you will start with basic skills like relationship management, just the playground's rules of engagement, basic communication skills, just from listening and reflecting, and then learning how to assert yourself. And then as you grow, you will develop more influence over others. You will develop persuasion skills. You learn to create allies and alliances and navigate conflict. You become a leader, even if it's just a leader of yourself or your family, your community, your work, your team. You might become the leader of an organization. And emotional intelligence is entwined throughout all of these processes. So that is how I conceptualize the career competence process. So it's a constant, ongoing development of personal and professional development, which I see as being entwined, especially as you move further and further up into higher and higher levels of responsibility. You need more and more social intelligence skills. So this process covers all those 4 categories, at least I think it does. I guess the one category that I haven't really spent a lot of time about is obtaining positions and promotions. That would be like job search skills, like creating a resume, developing a portfolio, interview skills, networking skills, those kinds of things. So the process, again, is nurturing yourself, knowing yourself and what you want, creating a vision and a plan, developing and demonstrating competence to yourself and to others. And I realize I didn't really talk much about demonstrating competence to others and why that's important. A lot of our confidence in ourselves and confidence in others is how we are perceived by others. So we can be very competent and very capable, but if other people don't believe that we are, we're not going to be given that opportunity to demonstrate our competence. So that's why it's important to, even if we feel a great deal of anxiety inside, we need to portray it. We need to manage the appearance of that. And I will talk more about that towards the end, how you can find strategies and techniques to be able to do that. So let me ask you again, we'll take a minute or two to look at which categories or category do you have challenges with career confidence? we'll see if anybody has any thoughts or questions as well.